Good day, everyone. I am Maria Nicola Badilla, and we are Group 5 from BLCE 3D, and we're going to report Republic Act 9184. Republic Act 9184, the 2016 Revised Implementing Rules and Regulations of Republic Act 9184, otherwise known as the Government Procurement Reform Act. So as for Rule Number 1, which is the general provisions, Section 1 to 6 are going to be tackled at this rule. Section 1 states about the title and its purpose. That this Government Procurement Reform Act is for the purpose of prescribing the necessary rules and regulations for the modernization, standardization, and regulation of the procurement activities of the Government of the Philippines. Section 2, for the declaration of the policy, it is for promoting good governance and for the principles of transparency, accountability, equity, efficiency, and economy for its procurement process. It is the policy of the Government of the Philippines that procurement of goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services shall be competitive and transparent. Section 3 provides the legal reference for the principles of government procurement. Here are some principles that shall be governed of the procurement of the Government of the Philippines. First is the transparency, competitiveness, streamlining, accountability, and public monitoring. This states on how we should show transparency on procurement process. This ensures the widest dissemination of bid opportunities and the participation of pertinent non-government organizations. The competitiveness, accountability, public monitoring, and streamlining and use of technology in procurement is in line in this section, which we should always observe and must always follow. Section 4 is for the scope and implementation of IIR that people should be aware of what will be tackled on this Republic Act and how it is implementing and why should it be implemented. Section 5 for the definition of terms is for you to be familiarized with the terms that they are going to talk about in this Republic Act, and also for you to understand the meaning of each word and sentences that will be tackled on this Republic Act. For example is the bidder. The bidder refers to a contractor, manufacturer, supplier, distributor, and or consultant who submits a bid in response to the requirements of the bidding documents. Section 6 for the standardization of procurement process and forms. This states on how they will be expecting the standardization of documents on each biddings and other things that will be documented on each project. For the rule number 2, which is the procurement planning, Section 7 is the procurement planning and budgeting linkage that all procurement shall be within the approved budget of the procuring entity and shall be meticulously and judiciously planned by the procuring entity. For the rule number 3, which is the procurement by electronic means, Section 8 is the procurement by electronic means, and the Philippine Government Electronic Procurement System is to promote transparency and efficiency. Information and communications technology shall be utilized in the conduct of procurement process procedures. Section 9 is for security, integrity, and confidentiality. This states that the Philippine Government Electronic Procurement System shall be protected from unauthorized access or interference to the incorporation of security and shall ensure that no person, including the system administrations and chairperson and members of the bank, and also shall ensure the privacy of parties transacting with it. And for rule number 4, which is competitive bidding, Section 10 are about competitive bidding. Then on rule number 16, in accordance with the section number 10 of this IRR, as the general rule, the procuring entities shall adopt competitive bidding as the general method of procurement and shall see to it that the procurement program allows sufficient lead time for such competitive bidding.
Good day, everyone. My name is Lander Benedict Emozo from BSc 3D. I'm about to report Rule 5 to Rule 7 with sections 11 to 12, and I'm about to give the summary and some important details of this section. We'll start with Rule number 5, which is Bids and Awards Committee, also known as BAC. The BAC has its structure and composition. For the BAC structure, it states that each procuring entity shall have a single BAC established in its head office in order to facilitate professionalism and harmony of procedures and standards specified in Section 12. Heads of its office shall aim to consolidate or unify all procurement activities of the organization, whether locally funded or foreign assisted, and whether pertaining to goods, infrastructure projects, or consulting services. For the basic composition, it should have at least uh, five but not more than seven members with integrity and proficiency. The Hope also assign an alter- should assign an alternate BAC member who should also have the same requirements of the original members. The alternate BAC member is also required to attend meetings and give proportionate honoraria whenever an original member is absent. As to the Section 12 function of BAC, the function of BAC is to advertise and or post the invitation to bid or request for expression of interest. It should also conduct procurement and pre-bid conference. Um, it should determine the eligibility of prospective bidders. The BAC shall be responsible for ensuring that the procuring entity abides by the standards set forth by the act of this IRR, and it shall prepare a procurement monitoring in the form prescribed by the GPPB. Section 13. Observers. The function of the observers is to ensure the transparency of the process during checking, shortlisting, pre-bid conference, preliminary examination of bids, bid evaluation, and post-qualification. The observers shall come from an organization duly registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission or the Cooperative Development Authority and should have knowledge, experience, and expertise when it comes to bidding. Section 14. BAC Secretariat or Procurement Unit. The Secretariat or Procurement Unit's function is to serve as the main support of the BAC. It is to strengthen and promote the professionalization of the organization's procuring unit. Section 15. Honoraria or BAC. BAC Secretariat and TWG members. The procuring entity may grant payment of honoraria to the BAC members in an amount not exceeding 25% of their respective basic monthly salary subject to availability of funds. Section 16. Professionalization of BAC, TWG, members, and procurement units. The GPPB shall establish and sustain training program to develop the capability of the BACs, BAC secretariats, TWGs, and the procurement units of procuring entities and professionalize the same. As to Rule 6, Section 17, Form and Contents of Bidding Documents. The bidding documents shall be prepared by the procuring entity following the standards and manuals prescribed by the GPPB. The documents should include ABC, invitation to bid or request for expression of interest, eligibility requirements, instruction to bidders, including scope of bid, documents comprising the bid, criteria of eligibility, and etc. It also should include terms of reference for consulting service, scope of work, where applicable, plans, drawings, and technical specification, form of bid, price form, and list of goods of bill or quantities. Section 18. Reference to brand names. As to obtaining goods and services, reference to brand names shall not be allowed. It shall be based on relevant characteristics, functionality, and performance standards. Section 19. Access to information. Procuring entities shall ensure equal access to information. Any part of the document should not be released prior to bidding and request for expression of interest for each procurement. During this conference, the participants led by the BAC shall confirm the description and scope of the contract, the ABC, and contract duration. It should also ensure that the procurement is in accordance with the PMP and APP. Section 21, Advertising and Contents of the Invitation to Bid and Request for Expression of Interest. It shall contain procurement of goods, the name of the contract to be bid, and brief description of the goods to be procured. It should also contain the infrastructure projects, the name and location of the contract to be bid, the project background, and other relevant information regarding the proposed contract works, including a brief description of the type, size, major items, and other important or relevant features of the works. As to the Section 22 for pre-bid conference, the pre-bid conference shall be held at least 12 calendar days before the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids, but not earlier than 7 calendar days. The pre-bid conference shall discuss, clarify, and explain, among other things, the eligibility requirements and the technical and financial components of the contract to be bid. It can be conducted in person or face-to-face or through conferencing.
Section 25 are the submission and receipt of bids. This covers the documents needed by bidders to pass to the BAC, being the receipt of the bidding and the required legal documents, or in other terms, the technical and financial components. Section 24. Eligibility requirements and shortlisting for consulting services. Just like Section 23, Section 24 talks about all the important documents needed, but this time by the shortlisting for consulting services. Now, Rule 8. Receipt and opening in bids. Section 23, eligibility requirements for the procurement of goods in infrastructure projects. This talks about all the necessary documents needed to participate in a bidding. Example of these documents are registration certificate and mayor or business permit to prove the eligibility of a party to bid on a project. Section 26 of Rules 8, Modification and Withdrawals of Bids. This tells us about how a bidder can and may modify his bid provided that it is done before the deadline for the receipt of the bid. Section 28 or Bid Validity says that all bids and bid security shall be valid for a reasonable period of time indicated in the bidding documents. Section 32 Bid for the procurement of goods infrastructure projects states that for the procurement of goods and infrastructure projects, the BAC shall evaluate the financial components of the bid. And Section 33 Bid evaluation of shortlisted bidders for consulting services. This talks about the bids of the shortlisted bidders that shall be evaluated and ranked using numerical ratings in accordance with the evaluation criteria. In Section 29 or Bid Opening, it states that the BAC shall publicly open all bids at the time, date, and place specified in the bidding documents. And now, in Rule 9 or Bid Evaluation. Section 30, Preliminary Examination of Bids, states that prior to bid evaluation, the BAC shall examine first the technical components of the bids using the pass or fail criteria to determine if all required documents are present. Section 31 or Ceiling for Bid Prices tells that the ABC shall be the upper limit or ceiling for bid prices. Section 27 or Bid Security states that all bids shall be accompanied by bid security that will ensure that the winning bidder shall enter into a contract with the procuring entity within the given time with furnished required performance security.
Good day everyone, I am Joel Serbancio Alcantara and I'm going to report Rule 15 up to Rule 18. Rule 15, Disclosure of Relation. So sa Section 47, Disclosure of Relation, nakasa dito lahat ng bidding shall be accompanied by ng sinumpahang affidavit ng bidder. Dapat hindi related sa third civil degree. Failure to comply will automatic disqualified yung bidding. Rule 16, Section 48, Alternative Methods. Alinsunod sa Section 10 of Implementing Rules and Regulation, procuring entities kailan may ipakita na ang procurement program allows sufficient time for such public bidding. Section 49, Limited Source Bidding or Selective Bidding, procurement of goods and consulting services that involves direct invitation to bid sa mga kilalang supplier. Section 50, Direct Contracting, procurement of goods that does not require elaborate bidding documents. Section 51, Repeat Order, procurement of goods from the previous winning bidder. Goods directly from supplier. Section 53, procurements of goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services whereby the procuring entity directly negotiate a contract. Section 54, terms and conditions for receivable alternative is splitting of government contracts is not allowed. So sa role 7 at any stage of the procurement process may be questioned by filing a request for reconsideration within the 3 calendar days. Resolution on protest. Resolution on the potential result is strictly on the basis of record of the BEC. Section 57, non-interruption of the bidding process. In no case shall any protest taken away from any decision treated in this rule. Lang. That's all.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Norsham Gonton. I'm going to report Rule 18 to Rule 21. Rule 18, settlement and dispute, Section 69. Arbitration is a procedure. It is a dispute and submitted by agreement of the parties to the one or more arbitrators who make bidding decision on the dispute and choosing arbitration to parties option for a private dispute resolution produced instead of going to court. Section 60 affairs is a process in which cases are reviewed by higher authority where parties request a formula change to the official decision. Rule 19, contract prices and warranties. It's a type of warranty that the manufacturer or similar party makes regarding the condition of its product. It also refers to the term and solution. It means refers to or exchange will be made in the event that the product does not function as originally described and intended. Section 20, the Government Procurement Policy Board. Section 63, organization and function. Our system created to achieve common goals through people to people and people to work relationships. Organization is a function that manages, undertake to design, structure, and arrange the component of an organization, internal environmental policies, and attainment organizational goals. Section 64, membership is the state belong to or being a part of a group or organization, the state of being a member. Rule 21, final clause. Section 65, offense and penalties. Violation of such norms are defined as offense with associated penalty below should be such that all subject interests should comply within their own interests. Section 66, jurisdiction. The power that an official of court of law has of enforce laws of or to carry an adjustment an area in which a court and system of laws has authority.
Miss Gan Benedict Sisa Cuesa from Block D. So yung report ko po is yung sa rule number 4 which is the competitive bidding. So under this one po, sinasabi dito na all procurement shall be done through competitive bidding except as provided in Rule 16 of this IIR. So basically hindi po tayo mag-focus ngayon sa rule number 14 kasi sinasabi dito na lahat po ng procurement is nag-undergo sa competitive bidding. So magpo-proceed po tayo ngayon sa rule number 16. Siya po yung exemption sa ating competitive bidding. So under po ng rule number 16 na makikita mo natin yung alternative methods of procurement. So under this one, magkakaroon tayo ng section 48, yung alternative methods. So yung isa po na to, under nito yung procuring entity. So yung main role po ng procuring entity is to ensure that the most advantageous price for the government is obtained. So basically, it talks about, it promotes yung progress ng economy and yung efficiency natin. And also, under this one, makikita rin natin yung relationship ng competitive bidding at yung procuring entity. Kasi, even sa section 48 na to,
sinasabi dito na it also adopts yung competitive bidding as a general method of procurement. And under ng isa pang alternative method, which is the limited source bidding, that is the section 49, sinasabi dito na this one is the selective bidding. So itong method na to of procurement is nakabase sa goods and consulting services. It involves yung direct invitation to bid by the procuring entity from the list of the pre-selected suppliers or consultants. So yung under ng selective bidding, dito natin makikita na yung kung paano kumilos yung ating procuring entity, kasi siya yung hinihingi ng tawad dun sa mga pre-selected or mga, like for example, nasa waiting list natin ng mga suppliers, consultants, and as well as the contractors. But it also requires na kailangan may known experience and proving capability sila na pasok sa ating requirements. And also, may mga conditions tayo under the section 49. So meron tayo dito, yung una is the procurement of highly specialized types of goods. So basically, itong first condition na to, it applies the competitive bidding. So since in-apply natin yung competitive bidding, magkakaroon lamang tayo ng few suppliers and consultants as well. And under ng isa pang conditions ng section 49, ito naman yung opposite effect ng A to B. So sabi naman, mayroon tayong procurement of major plant components. So sa karamihan, ito yung tinutukoy na most advantageous rather, kasi it limits yung paggamit ng competitive bidding. So kapag walang competitive bidding, malilimit din yung pag-eliminate natin sa mga bidders natin. So now let us proceed sa section 50, which is the direct contracting. So sinasabi dito na since this one is a direct contracting, hindi na siya dumadaan sa mahabang proseso. So it does not require elaborate bidding documents. And also, the supplier is also asked to submit a price quotation together with the conditions of sale. So makikita natin dito na since direct contracting nga siya, hindi na siya dumadaan sa mga napakahabang proseso, yung hinihingi lang namang sa mga contractors and suppliers is yung price quotation nila kung pasok ba sa budget ng isang company. And under this one, may mga conditions din tayo na kailangan i-consider. The first one is yung procurement of goods of proprietary. So this one can be obtained only from the patents, trade secrets, copyrights, prohibit options from manufacturing the same item. Also under this one, meron din tayo na yung conditions under the direct contracting, ginagawa dito is hinohold natin yung contractor para makita yung, for us to have the assurance kung paano ba nila ginagawa yung performance nila according doon sa project na sinalihan nila. And for the last one, meron din tayong under these conditions, those sold by an exclusive dealer will not have a sub-dealer selling a lower prices. So ito yung klase ng mga tao na nagbebenta ng yung mga dealers na walang, kumbaga wala silang pamalit ba, and binebenta nila yung mga items nila for a lower prices. And for the section 51, we have here yung repeat order. So this one is the under the winning bidder need of replenish of goods. So under ng repeat order, may kita natin dito yung presence ulit ng mga former or recent winner natin sa competitive bidding. So basically, kapag kailangan natin kumuha ng, like for example, naubusan tayo ng isang specific object or item sa ating business, ang gagawin natin is mag-order tayo ng item doon sa former na nanalo sa bidding natin. And also under this section ng section 51, mayroon tayong mga conditions na kailangan i-consider. So the first one is, sinasabi dito na the repeat order must be the same or lower than the original contract. So basically, hindi, even though necessary yung item na kailangan nating makuha, but kung hindi siya pasok doon sa former natin na prices na nakalaan sa item na yun, or mas mataas siya doon, hindi natin siya i-consider or hindi natin gagawin yung repeat order. So dapat mas mababa or dapat equal lang siya sa original price niya. And also under this condition, meron din tayo sa B, breaking up contracts into smaller quantities and amounts. So may mga cases kasi na kapag inulit natin kapag kumuha ulit tayo ng items sa the same contractor, may mga cases na yung kontrata natin is nasasagasaan and napupunta siya into smaller quantities and amounts. So basically, yung production natin is maapektuhan kasi yung amounts and yung quantities ng mga item is mas maliliit. And also under this section, meron tayong time frame of within 6 months. So kapag hindi dumating yung item within 6 months, hindi na po natin itutuloy yung repeat order under section 51. And for the last one, it says here that exceed to 25% quantity consists of 4 units. So in this part, sa letter D, for the last one na condition natin sa section 51, may sinusundan tayo na pattern na dapat hindi lumampas sa 25% yung item na madi-deliver natin. So para hindi tayo mag-exceed sa mga items na i-order ulit natin, sinasabi dito na dapat every item is consists of 4 units per item. Consists of 4 units. And now let us proceed sa section 52. This one is the shopping. So sinasabi dito na it simply requests for the submission of price quotations for really available goods or the ordinary equipment. So under the shopping, para din siyang direct contracting kasi hindi rin mahaba yung proseso niya kasi dito naman nakadepende sa availability ng mga items. So like for example, may mga items tayo na available. Yung contractor may mga available siya na items. So ang gagawin ng contractor, ibibigay niya na lang yung price quotations and doon na papasok yung shopping. So under this one, may mga conditions din tayo na dapat sundan. Under this one, yung sa A, sinasabi dito na immediate purchase, unexpected events. So example nito is like for example, bigla tayong nakulangan or may mga emergency na kailangan paggamitan ng gamit. So magkakaroon ng shortage, doon papasok yung shopping. Kailangan din mag-immediate purchase sa isang contractor para ma-fulfill yung kakulangan. And also under this one, equipment and supplies are not available and the procurement service requires an amount not exceeding. So may mga instances din po kasi na yung procurement service natin o yung tauhan natin sa isang kumpanya, minsan they were not able to provide yung equipment and supplies. That's why kailangan natin ng section 52 shopping. And also, may kinoconsider din na dapat yung amount hindi mag-exceed doon sa former natin na prices. And also, proceed tayo sa section 53 which is the second to the last na section under ng competitive bidding. So this one is the negotiated procurement. So it says here that procuring entity directly negotiates a contract with a technically, legally, and financially capable supplier or contractor. So this one, under this section, hindi po tayo basta nakikipag-negotiate sa isa lamang contractor na walang previous experiences regarding sa pagiging middleman. So basically, marami po tayong requirements dito kasi sinasabi dito na technically, legally, and financially capable na contractor. So under this one, actually marami po tayo ditong conditions and since may limited lamang tayo na oras, tatlo lang po yung ibibigay natin na examples kasi napakarami niya po talaga. So under this one po, meron tayong 2 failed biddings. So sinasabi na dito na failure in competitive bidding, limited source bidding. So kung maalala niyo po yung section 49 which is the selective bidding, na-open up po doon yung 2 types ng pagkuha natin ng contractor and ng mga supplier. So basically sa 2 failed biddings, dito po mamasok yun. So kung babalikan natin yung selective bidding sa section 49, kung wala pong pumasok or wala pong nakuha na contractor or supplier using the competitive bidding and yung limited source bidding, dito na po papasok yung negotiated procurement. Okay? And also under this one is yung emergency cases. So kapag emergency cases naman po, dito papasok, like for example, yung law ng nature na may storm, may calamities, may mga landslide. So doon po papasok yung section 53 na negotiated procurement to avoid damages or to lose life and property or also to restore public utilities. So doon po papasok yung negotiated procurement kasi emergency cases na po yun. And also for the last one, we have here yung takeover of contracts. May mga contracts po kasi na hindi ina-allow ng, I mean like for example, may nasagasaan sila na existing law. So, ang mangyayari, ma-forfeit po yung existing contract na yun. So, papasok si negotiated procurement para i-take over yung existing na contract para hindi masayang yung kontrata na nakuha doon sa isang contractor na at na-forfeit yung kanyang lisensya or yung kanyang kontrata sa isang company. And for the last one, we have here yung section 54, the terms and conditions for the use of alternative methods. So this one po, kung alam naman natin kung terms and conditions, so magbibigay lang po ako ng example dito. Nabanggit ko na rin siya kanina. So one of our terms and conditions under this alternative methods is yung splitting of government is not allowed. So mapababasa po natin ito siya sa repeat order. Like kasi nga di ba po yung gaya nung nabanggit ko kanina, kapag nag-repeat order tayo sa isang contractor, isang supplier, may mga tendencies na humingi sila ng conditions na kailangan mas maliit na lang yung sales and yung amount ng quantities na i-provide nila kasi nga umulit na tayo ng order sa kanila. So yun, under these terms and conditions, yun na po yung dun po siya papasok, yung splitting of government is not allowed or breaking into smaller quantities and the sales as well. So yun lamang po under the rule number 4, the competitive bidding, and the rule number 16, alternative methods of procurement.
My name is Tim Machado, BSCE 3D. I will report rule number 22 to rule number 25. Rule number 22, also known as civil liability. Section 67 and section 68 is under rule number 22. Section 67, or civil liability in case of conviction. 3019 shall carry with its civil liability which may either consist of restitution of damage done or the forfeiture in favor of government of any unwarranted benefit derived from the act of, or acts in question or both, at the discretion of the courts. Section 68, or liquidated damages. All contracts executed in accordance with the act and this IRR shall contain a provision or liquidated damages, which shall be payable by the contractor in case of breach thereof for the procurement of goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services. The amount of the liquidated damages shall be at least equal to 1/10 of 1% of the cost of the unperformed portion for every day of delay. Once the cumulative amount of liquidated damages reaches 10% of the amount of the contract, the procuring entity may resign or terminate the contract without prejudice to other courses of action and remedies available under the circumstances. Rule number 23, also known as administrative sanctions. Section 69, impositions of administrative penalties. If any shall impose on bidders or prospective bidders the administrative penalty of suspension for 1 year for the first offense and suspension of 2 years for the second offense from participating in the competitive bidding process, as well as disqualification from further participating in the competitive bidding being undertaken by the procuring entity concerned, were applicable for the following violations. Section 70, or also known as preventive suspension. The Hope may preventively suspend any member of the technical working group or the secretariat or the BAC if there are strong reasons of prima facie evidence showing that the officials or employees concerned are guilty of the charges filed against them under Rule number 21 and 22 of this IRR, or for dishonesty as defined by the Civil Service Laws. Section 71, also known as lifting of suspension and removal of administrative disabilities. Lifting of preventive suspension pending administrative investigation, as well as removal of administrative penalties and disabilities, shall be in accordance with the provisions of sections 52 and 53. Chapter 6, Subtitle A, or Civil Service Commission. Book number 5 of Executive Order number 292, otherwise known as the Administrative Code of 1987. Rule number 24, or also known as Legal Assistance and Indemnification of BAC Members. Section 72 and Section 73 is under Rule number 24. Section 72, or Private Legal Assistance, all the members of the BAC are hereby authorized to engage the services of private lawyers or external counsel immediately upon receipt of court notice that a civil or criminal action, suit or proceeding is filed against them in connection with the lawful performance of their official functions and duties as BAC members. The lawyer's fee shall be part of the indemnification package for the BAC members, subject to the provisions of Section 73 of the Act and this IRR. For purposes of this rule, the BAC members shall be understood to include its support staff, such as the members of the TWG and the BAC Secretariat. Section number 73, also known as indemnification of BAC members, refers to the assistance of remuneration given to the members of the BAC and or as the BAC support staff for any loss, damage, or injury caused to them by reason of the lawful performance in their duty. The next rule is rule number 25, or the final provisions. We have section 74, amendment, section 75, repealing clause, section 76, or also known as separability clause. If any provision in this IRR or application of such provision to any circumstance is declared invalid or unconstitutional, the other provisions not affected thereby shall remain valid and subsisting. Section 77 are also known as transitory clause. And the last one is section number 78, or also known as effectivity clause. This IRR shall take effect 60 calendar days after its publication in the official gazette or in a newspaper of general nationwide circulation, and upon filing with the University of the Philippines Law Center of 3 certified copies of this IRR.